Ladies and gentlemen, we start the second part of the discussion panel, and I would like to invite on the stage four participants. Laura Cornea from Romania, Radoslav Ragacz from Slovakia, Rusłana Marceniuk from the Ukraine, and Albert Nikola from Albania. So we are complete, and the first speaker would be the member of the College of the National Council for the Study of the Securitate Archives, PhD Laura Cornea.
Thank you. One moment. Yes. Okay. And I push.
Give me a sec. Oh, you can.
No, next one.
Yes.
Okay. And I push here?
Yes.
On this one, no?
Use this one if you want to go.
Next one. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And
It's
if
okay.
you want to back here.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm very glad, and also I'm very honored to be here with you. It's a special moment for us because, like in Poland, in this period, we celebrate 25 years of activity. It was a great period for us, with many challenges and many opportunities. In my presentation, I'm not be able to speak about so many good things about digitalizations, unfortunately. We are started in this moment, because I think, as I spoke with my colleagues in the break, when we spoke about digitalization, we spoke about money and human resources. This is a reality, and we have to do with it to go better. In our institution, as I said to you, I want to have a short retrospective look. This year, we celebrate 25 years since National Council for the Study of the Securitate Archives began its work. Looking back, I dare to say, after a quarter century of uninterrupted activity in this institution, that we started with the end. You may wonder why I make such a statement. In my view, the opening of the former Securitate Archives should have occurred without dislocating the archive collection from their original location, and with their transfer taking place under official seal, accompanied by archival inventory records. Only in this way could the integrity of the transferred documents have been generally verified and a faithful reconstruction of our recent history. In reality, 25 years ago, the institution began its journey with an extensive archival reconstruction, initially based on the request of the citizen, seeing access to their own files and the demands of the civil society, which aimed to verify the past of the individuals in public offices. After the first 5 years, the activity of our institution held just over 10,000 files, gathered from all corners of the country. It is worth recalling a Securitate County Inspectorate has been operation in 42 administrative territorial units in Romania. In 2006, a major event took place, what we might call the Great Reconstruction and the revolution of the declassification of the files in Romania. Unfortunately, it is carried out following the same model established in 2000, dislocating the archival. This decision significantly harmed the physical condition of the documents as well as their archival integrity by violating one of the fundamental principles of the archives, since the principle of provenance. So, we began with research, not with reconstruction. It is earlier GNSS focused investigating individual cases. We respond to requests from citizens waiting to access their personal files and from the civil society. We did not beginning with the reconstruction of the archival collection. We did not begin by ensuring the unity of the integrity of those collections or by conserving the documents. This approach of working with first fragments without rebuilding the complete sources and structures shaped the trajectory of the institution. In fundamental ways, it was a slow, difficult, but necessary process to restore access to the historical memory marred by disruption, destruction, and forced silences. So, the first what we have to do to 25 years ago was to reconstruction all the files. In this panel, key holders of the archival materials and reconstruction, I want to show you the principal former holder of the archives from Romania. And if we have a short analysis in this moment, the largest volume was transferred in our institution, but the Romanian intelligence services. As you see, 2,600,000 files and approximately 3 million index and cards. This list of the holders includes also another intelligence services from Romania, but not all of them take all the archives in our institution in this moment. The CNSAS has taken from all these institution documents, but not all the documents from everywhere. The main archival fonts. I selected for you 5 from these fonts because many of you maybe will study sometime in our archives, and you have to know that these are the main fonts. But I don't want to talk about each one. I want to show you in the next panel some special documents from each this font. So, this letter cards catalog. This is a important collection from 1 million such cards that had been offered by CNSAS. From their contents, one can learn the sender, the recipient, the brief summary of the letter, and sometimes even the intercepted letters of itself, which are put in the back of the cards. These correspondence cards are organized by alphabetically and thematically also. For example, there is a set of cards referring to letters sent to radio stations such as Voice of America or Radio Free Europe. Another set contains informative reference but data about those who dared to write to forgiven embassies based in Bucharest. It is important to know that these letters, once withheld from circulation, are today being returned in their original form to the recipients of their descendants as part of our institution due to ensure the restitution of personal documents. In personal communication methods, they are strictly bounded by letter cards. In correspondence index, we have the sender of the letters. But in conspirational mailbox, it is an interesting note that being from 17 years, as part of information gathering work, that is work with the intelligence network, special mailbox were established for the impersonal contacts between officer and informants. That these boxes were specifically dedicated to collecting informative notes. In this context, informants would sign their reports using their cover names, indicate the town which is they received, and send the reports to the specific addresses where their special mailboxes were located. Thus, if face-to-face meeting between officer and sources could not be taken in conspirational safe houses, especially during holiday period, the communication was maintained through this impersonal communication methods. This year, Romanian Post marks 119 years of existence. Our institution will present a documentary journey into the hidden mechanism of written communication control during the communist regime. Through archival documents, we'll bring to the public attention the activities carried out by Service S, with a special structure from Securitate, the specialized unit responsible for intercepting and inspecting mails. Another kind of documents, very painful, I think, from our archives, are the involvement of the children in collaboration during the communist regime. Maybe such documents are also in Poland archive, I don't know. Maybe in the panel of discussion we found out about this. But these documents contain related to individuals who collaborated the Securitate in a childhood period. Given that this month we celebrate International Children's Day, it's not only relevant to recall what childhood was like under communism, and to reflect the fact that by the end of the Ceausescu era, not all children enjoyed the wonderful conditions or bright the future, so often promised by the country's leaders. On the contrary, some of them were forced into the intelligence relationship before even reaching the age of 18. After a short analysis of these documents, we identified three main lines in which they are involved, these children: internal intelligence, economic counterintelligence, and also military counterintelligence. We believe that this age of 18 is linked to the fact that this was when the students took the second stage high school exam. If they failed this exam, they were required to take up jobs in factories or in other ways. So this is why, through mass recruitment of this stage, officers secured a pool of information with industrial workplaces. Based on these informations, we identified and digitalized, with small resources, over 10,000 documents about collaborator files. These crimes involve the requirement of the thousands of underage students are informant sources. These abuses committed by employees of the state institution that were legally amended by to defend the Constitution and civil rights were systematic and target large groups of minors. As a result of information was submitted to the judicature about approximately 2,000 Securitate and Militia officers who had required over 4 million children. Documentary found. Documentary found, I think this is the base for all researchers in our archives. Our researchers start the documentation with did found, because here are all the important information about political parties, about religions, about many people from arts or from industry or for political. I choose to show you a document about the legionary movement, because probably you know this was a very hot subject in the last time, and I want to show you a document made by prisoners, someone at the beginning of the period communism. Given in the context of the recent elections, the problem of legionary ideology and its supporters has once again drawn public attention and spurred genuine debates. It's not by chance that the documents of the former Securitate also kept the legionary issue under scrutiny until the very end of the 1989. This was a problem for the officers from Romania Securitate till the beginning to the end. If you examine the context of, we have chosen this to present here a special file from this documentary collection, because this is a document from a period that started all the pressure under the Romanian people. And after for a period in a context of re-education and social integration following the 64 amnesty decree, which freed all political prisoner detainees from Aiud prison. This document is written in Aiud prison, were forced to draft a history of legendary movement in a critical tone. This work was handwritten by prisoners, and all illustrations were drawn manually by them. The covers of these 2 volumes were also cast within the prison itself. The volumes have been digitized in this moment and can be consulted only in a digital form, with the original shown exclusively during special documentary visit in our archive. So if you will be in Romania next year, I'm sure you will be able to see in an original form. In the lecture room, many researchers ask in the last period, were or not were women in Securitate? Now it's very common to speak about the political agenda now. We have an answer. In Romanian Securitate, we have women. Here is a document from our archives. I want to speak about this document because it's a new one in our archive. We received it last year from Military Affairs Department. And he was in archive of Mr. General Iulian Vlad. The documents after 1964 released that of political considered after 60 years, the Securitate included in her structure women's. We have here a statistic of these women, so we can see that 8,070 women in statistics were in 80 in this document that represent 7% for total personnel at the time. In in the next panel, I want to show you some artifacts, because the second part of my presentation are also about artifacts from our archive. And we have here 4 types of photography. This photography are organized in a small phototeca, but this phototeca, when I speak to you today, is not public, it's only in internal use. But if you want some documents about your research, about surveillance people, about detention people, we can offer the public by request photos from these 4 categories. Our archive contains now over 40 photos, awaiting, as I say, to become a photo archive of communist repression. Another artifacts, very touching, I suppose, are written poems. In prisoners, many prisoners in jails wrote poems. You have in front of your eyes a poem wrote by Maria Cantacuzino Enescu. It was the granddaughter of George Enescu, the compositor. And she was arrested at the age of 16 years because he was in a movement, anti-communist movement, in the high period of her life. And after a long period of detention, she escaped from Romania and died in, I think, 2014 in Paris. The documents, have you seen here, are wrote by her in the jail from Târgșor. It was a jail for women. Another artifacts are the manifests. The manifests of the Securitate were the subject of an exposition made by our institution last year, when 80 cards, postcards dedicated to unknown people wrote manifests and were published in this exposition. And it was like an honor to their memory, and for also it was a project for education of the young people, because in the last period from last year in Romania, in the high school, we study history of communist period and also the history of Holocaust period. And very impressive artifacts from our archives are hidden in the walls. Maybe you know this building is an emblematic building from Romania, from the seaside, Orașul, the city of Constanța. The building from the royal period, where Queen of Romania usually stay in the vacation period, and in the 50 years, this building was rebuilt because was severely damaged by during the Second World by the communist people from the jail. The documents are you see that are hidden in the walls, and they are emblematic for the very fabric of the building. And on this one, from the left side, we have 10 names of the people who are in jail and who work at this building. I hope that to the end of the year, this year, to can announce the publishing of a dictionary to all 100 people who work at this monument. Preservation through digitalization is very difficult for us when we are talking about the maps. In our institution, we have approximately 20 maps related of topics like anti-communism, resistance, or the frontierists, a person who during Romania's communist regime attempt to cross the country, or also about the development of the Some Urban project. These documents are they are bounding in the different files, and this is very difficult to separate in a map collection, and also it's very, very difficult for us without resources to make a good quality of digitalization. Preserving the archive of Central through digitalization, as you see, is a small laboratory improperly from a point of view, from archivistical point of view. Digitalization ensure not only the long-time civil protection, but also to preservation for informational integrity of the documents. Last year we made a reconstruction of 1 million pages. Also last year, only 5 people, maybe 6, with 6 scanners digitalized 1 million pages. Which is the future? For a small institution with small budgets, I think the future is here. European funding and need of archive digitization is my panel when I speak to you, and if I can spell like this, I think this is a call for help, because together maybe one of 2 institutions of us from the network, if we'll apply in this European funds, we'll have more successful. In Romania, it's a little bit difficult to make by one, so this is why I request to you little bit of effort, common effort. And if one of the subjects that I present here is an interested for you, any institution, Poland, German, Hungary, maybe if you will write together political project for European fund will be better for all of us. After 25 years, GNSS is a pillar of a public consequences and the Switzerland for memory policy. The future of GNSS relies not only on institutional ill, but also a public trust. A trust that we have to someone to reconstruction because all this problem we have in the last 25 years, we take over these problems, but I'm sure that in the next 25 years, the things will be better. And in the next meeting, after 25 years, I will speak to you about our database and our electronic access to the documents from the distance. Thank you very much. And I hope to be together next time in Romania and to see together if we have a progress or not. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Cornea, for your speech. And now I would like to invite PhD Radoslav Ragacz, who is a director of the Slovak National Archives.
I think from here, no? It's okay.
Which one is yours?
This one.
Właściwie mieliśmy mówić po polsku, prawda?
Tak. This one.
I tutaj...
Second.
Nie, tak? To jest okej.
Okay. No. It's okay. But second file. Tak, okay.
Tutaj i tutaj.
It's okay. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, szanowni państwo, archival cultural heritage in the Slovak Republic is from the post-war period up to the present associated with the Soviet model of the Ministry of Interior. Why? Archives were from communist regime not only historical source and administration necessity, but also important political tool for identification and distribution of the so-called former people, various enemies of the Czechoslovak leaders, and vice versa, glorification and falsification of the communist movement. For this reason, a lot of non-communist political bodies' papers, former state administration, personal files, association, company, ecclesiastical papers are confiscated or looted and later destroyed by communist secret police called in Czechoslovakia state security. Totally independent archival system are in this time built for Czechoslovak military, state security, and also Communist Party records. The backbone of the current Slovak public archival system are the Slovak National Archives, 8 state archives, and public archives like Nations Memory Institute Archive. Yes. Velvet Revolution, Dnešná revolúcia was a non-violent transition of the political power in Czechoslovakia, a large popular demonstration against one-party government of the Communist Party of Czechoslovakia included not only students and the young generation, but to dissidents as general public. On 17 November 1989, riot police suppressed a big student demonstration in Prague, and main political result was the end of the communist rule in Czechoslovakia, quickly conversion to democracy, and the subsequent dismantling of the common economy and also communist state security. But in this time, especially in the late November and early December 1989, still existing state security staff was secretly destroyed important part of the archive files of the secret collaborators and persecuted person, and also the agenda from past years, especially in Eastern Slovakia. Slovak leaders of the Velvet Revolution, student movement, and movement public against violence launched several initiatives related to the files of the later former communist state security, including symbolic custody of the Slovak National Archives building. Very interesting. Briefly after the Velvet Revolution in 1990, archives, records, and files of the former communist state security fall into the hands of the Ministry of the Interior, the Ministry of Defense, and Ministry of Justice, and later to the Slovak Information Service, Slovak Secret Service, without a real public control and professional archival care. Yes, for policemen, all is closed, secret, and stupid managed. Yes, it's a Slovak way. Lustration law, first in the post-Soviet countries, passed by federal parliament in October 91, 2 years after the communist regime fall. Consequently, the second small lustration law passed in April next year. Symbol of this lustration, the Slovak mind, is lustration scandal case of Jan Budaj, one of the most prominent Slovak leaders of the Velvet Revolution, and Vladimir Mečiar's looting of the archives from the Communist State Security Archives in Część, the called case. So I will present. With closed Communist state archives, Czechoslovak general public was really fascinated with a list of secret collaborators of the state security, so called Cibulka list, in the Czech language Cibulkové seznamy, in confirmed, fragmentally manipulated, published by Rude Právo. Independent magazine was satirical titles of the former Czech communist newspaper Rude Právo. Rude Právo in English is Red Law or Red Justice. And this newspaper is presented, yes, it's very interesting, this satirical title, Rude Právo, is very similar, but in Czech the redko, in Polish, czerwona krówka. It's very satirical, very open, but the list of the collaborators is very fragmental and manipulated. It's very crazy. It's 1991. And the next decade in Slovakia was mostly associated with Prime Minister Vladimir Mečiar, former collaborator of the state security, secret collaborator, replaced by election in 1998. Dark era of Mečiar was associated not only with corruption, economic stagnation of the country, but also with political manipulations, and archives of former communist state security was used against the political opponents of Mečiar and for blackmailing. New era for the communist state security archival heritage in Slovakia came with the creation of the National Memory Institute in 2022. Institute is a public body founded by the Act of the National Council on disclosure of documents regarding the activity of the state security authorities from 1939 to 1989, and on founding of the institute, of course. Archival funds and documents on the repressive authority from the period between 1939 and 1989, which vary from the period of the Nazi Slovak state and unitary and later federal Czechoslovakia, constitute the master archival funds which the Ministry of the Interior of the Slovak Republic, Ministry of Defense, and Ministry of Justice and the Slovak Information Service, pursuant to act on nation's memory, are step-by-step relocated to the institute. Pursuant to the decision of the Slovak Ministry of the Interior, 2 years late, the archives of the institute was conferred legal archival status. Nation's Memory Institute archive represent public archive of the Slovak Republic pursuant to the Archival Act on archives and registries. Its archival fund contain archival resources of the Slovak Republic and national cultural heritage. Main tasks of the archival mission is systematically accumulate all types of information, records, and documents of the period of oppression, and present the public with the result of these activities, primarily publishes information and another records from this period, provide relevant information to the public authorities, and provide and disclose relevant information to the citizens or general public. Yes. The limitation of the archival documents and founds started in 2003. Archive successfully took over archival material from the state bodies and natural persons corresponding to approximately to 2.5 linear kilometer. Yes. The most coherent extensive file which was acquired contains agency operative files and investigation files of the communist state security, amounting a lot of thousands items. And besides paper documents, the archive stored about 70,000 microfiche, equivalent to approximately 2 million pages documents. And a lot of films and photographs, etc., etc. And very interesting, another business of the archives. Archives of the Institute also administer the very rich and historically important library fund of the former Slovak Marxism and Leninism Institute, which is based on the original acquisition list, contains a lot of important of bibliography, prohibited materials, periodicals, and unclassified titles. Second important library item is a rich newspapers collection of the former Slovak communist publishing house Pravda. It's in English true, yes. It's a newspaper from the Slovak, of the Slovak Communist Party. Yes. And current status of the archives is approximately 2.5 kilometer. Majority of documents is with the finding aids tomorrow, and conclusively the archive now manage 507 archival fonts and collections. The archives research promise are commonly used by historians, archivists, journalists, and general public from Slovakia and other countries. And last important acquisition, a large, big private samizdat collection in the records of the former Czechoslovak, later Slovak section of the BBC, donated by the former Slovak editor from UK. No. And small postscriptum. Even 35 years after the Velvet Revolution, Slovak public space is still very sensitive to collaboration with the communist state security. This is this afterlife opening and public impact of the archives. I will present three prominent cases or example. Case of Archbishop Jan Sokol, cover name Spiritual, case of the former and maybe also future Czech Prime Minister Andrej Babiš, and all two secret collaborators of the state security, and vice versa, final round of the presidential election in Slovakia last year was characterized by rampart disinformation and various attempts to discredit opposite candidate Ivan Korčok using deepfake, modern deepfake content, aiming to falsely accuse him to collaboration with the communist state security. Okay. Yeah, this is Jan Budaj, one of the Slovak leaders of the Velvet generation, and personal file of this person from archive, from Institute archives. Second is case Tisova Villa, former Prime Minister of the Slovak Republic, Vladimir Richard has in early 90s looted part of the archives of the state security in Trenčín in this building. It's a very famous case. Third, yes, is former Archbishop Jan Sokol, active collaborator of the state security, communist state security, with cover name Spiritual. And another document in this right side is information stream from November 1999 with names of the security collaborators and number of the denunciations. And two of this item are provided by Mr. Sokol. Yes. And last but not least, former and maybe future Czech Prime Minister Andrej Babiš, aka Bureš, former collaborator of the state security. Yes, is a young face from 80s, and yes, very active, very complicated case. A lot of public space is occupied by this person and these problems. Yes. Okay. And last is final second round of the president election, and deep fake accusing Mr. Korczak of the collaboration with the state security. Very bad deep fake. No professionality, sorry. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director Ragacz. And now I would like to invite PhD Rusłana Marceniuk, who is the senior researcher at the Sectoral State Archive of the Security Service of Ukraine.
About my speech, I will be promoting the Polish. Dla mnie to jest wielki zaszczyt przybywać tutaj w Państwa domu, nawet powiem tak. I wielce szanowni Państwo, chciałabym dzisiaj opowiadać o takiej historii, której zawsze walczę, o tym, żeby te archiwa właśnie były takie spopularyzowane i bardziej się łączyły do społeczeństwa i były zjednane jakoś z nimi, żeby zachęcać jako największą część ludności, społeczeństwa do tego, żeby zobaczyć, co tam się znajduje. I dlatego tak, ale poprosiłabym pomóc na początek.
Już pomagam.
Tak.
Która prezentacja?
To ma być co? O, tam.
Tak?
Tak. To mam po prostu.
Tak, już pokazuję.
W jaki sposób?
Tutaj do przodu, a tutaj gdyby trzeba było się cofnąć.
Okay. Tak. A dlaczego tutaj jeszcze jest NAWA? Bo znajduje się na UMK w Toruniu, właśnie w tym programie NAWA, i to też jest taka popularyzacja historii tego, co ukrywa te dawne archiwum, które się tam, no na przykład ten wyodrobniony archiwum z Państwowej Służby Bezpieczeństwa Ukrainy. No i zaczniemy od tego, co dla mnie jest bardzo ważne w tej sytuacji, że archiwum nie musi być dzisiaj tylko jak schowek informacji, ale także jako aktywne narzędzie władzy też nie musi być. Bo kiedyś takie archiwum to był źródłem dosier, które były wykorzystane do szantażu, prześladowań fizycznego i nawet psychicznego niszczenia niepewnych. Archiwa te milczały przez lata, ukrywając losy setek tysięcy ludzi pod klauzulą ściśłe tajne. Dzisiaj sytuacja uległa zmianie. Odtajnienie materiałów archiwalnych, szczególnie dla naszych krajów, stało się nie tylko aktem historycznej sprawiedliwości, ale także elementem przemian demokratycznych. Archiwum nie jest już bronią. Staje się zwierciadłem historii, w którym można dostrzec prawdziwe oblicze przyszłości. Jednak samego odtajnienia nie wystarczy. Dokumenty archiwalne są złożone fragmentaryczne, często napisane chłodnym językiem biurokracji lub celowo zniekształcone. Nie jest to powieść z fabulą, ale zepsuta mozaika ludzkich losów, rozrzucona wśród protokołów, donosów i raportów. Nie ma tam głosu, tylko echo. Nie ma postaci, tylko numer sprawy. Nie mówią same. Trzeba je nauczyć mówić. Właśnie dlatego potrzebna jest obecność pośrednika, osoby zdolnej usłyszeć i najpierw musi to zrobić historyk. No właściwie co historycy już i zrobili. Ale potem się dołącza do tego dziennikarz, nauczyciel, artysta i każdy na swój sposób, ale w jednym celu – tchnąć życie w martwe dokumenty. No i zaczynamy. Zaczynamy od tego, że najpierw to też, jak tutaj mówiono przez panią Marzenę, że to też było stworzono tyle filmów, to w Ukrainie to się działo tak samo i też wykorzystają w taki sposób te archiwalne dokumenty do tworzenia. Najbardziej teraz to jest wykorzystana sprawa Wasyla Stusa, bo tam był taki polityczny skandal dookoła tego, jeszcze z jego adwokatem, który dzisiaj żyje, na pewno to nazwisko może było słyszane jakoś przez publiczność Wiktora Medwedczuka, tak, no i teraz on się nie znajduje już w Ukrainie. Wiecie o tym? No jeszcze powiem, że taka aktualizacja takiej sprawy, aktualizacja do Archiwum Służby Bezpieczeństwa Ukrainy bardzo wzrosła z tym początkiem wojny, która się dzisiaj tworzy w Ukrainie. No i to jest, bo to jest takie nauczenie tego, co mogłoby się nie trafić, jeżeli by. No i zaczniemy, że widzicie, że jednym z takich sposobów też popularyzacji tej historii to by były filmy dokumentalne, projekty, wideo, podcasty, czy czegoś tam jeszcze innego, czy nawet radio, różne projekty, które się teraz działa jako najwięcej. Wywiady z potomkami represjonowanych lub badaczami archiwum. No też to jest takie projekty, które to się, no wiem, że to też tak się działa w Polsce, działa się w innych krajach oczywiście, bo które się teraz to tak się najczęściej to dla mnie kojarzy się z Polską, tak. Widzimy też, jaka jest współpraca, ale to trzeba zobaczyć też w dole, w księgarni, to w część z tych książek, które mamy też wydawane wspólnie, to też jest taka popularyzacja, ale o tym nie będzie, bo od tego się wszystko zaczynało. W taki sposób. No i jeszcze te filmy dokumentalne. Co oni nam, czy tak mogą mówić o tym, i teraz mamy też te wywiady z potomkami represjonowanych, to, że to jest wizualizacja interpretowania historii przez człowieka, jego głos, twarz, reakcje, na przykład. Ja już mówiłam, pokazałam tam wcześniej o tej sprawie Wasyla Stusa, o wywiady z potomkami też represjonowanych lub badaczami archiwów. Podcasty, w których odczytuje się na głos sprawy archiwalne, komentując i wyjaśniając kontekst. Teraz na YouTubie można znaleźć mnóstwo takich materiałów, można znaleźć mnóstwo takich podcastów i każdy teraz z taką chęcią do tego, żeby walczyć o jakie rozszerzenia takich dokumentów. No, nawet powiem takim językiem współczesnym, może gdzieś to podejmuje pewny hype na tym, żeby tak poznali go jako historyka, albo czy pisze bardzo popularne rzeczy, albo występuje bardzo popularnie. Dzięki temu można też odczuć nie tylko, by powiedziałam, intelektem, ale sercem. I historia przestała w takiej dziedzinie działać już jak tamna, ona zaczyna brzmieć. No, spektakle też ciekawy moment, bo mamy taką jeszcze rzecz jak spektakle teatralne albo verbatim. To oparte na materiałach archiwalnych i są ważnym narzędziem właśnie tej historii publicznej, łączącym sztukę i naukę, dokument i emocje, fakty historyczne i osobiste przeżycia. Nie będzie się tutaj zastanawiać, bo tutaj jest napisane, o kim chodzi i szczególną rolę odgrywa tu właśnie ten teatr dokumentalny, kiedy dramaturgia opiera się na autentycznych tekstach, protokołach przesłuchań, listach, wspomnieniach, zeznaniach. Teatr archiwalny w taki sposób może odtwarzać przesłuchania, listy, zeznania. Widz odczuwa Szok nie z powodu scenografii, ale z powodu treści tekstu, który wypowiada aktor. Estetyka verbatim właśnie opiera się na idei archiwum, to również forma teatru, a śledczy akt represjonowany to role odgrywane w rzeczywistości. Jest to bowiem sposób na aktualizację właśnie tej historycznej traumy, oddanie głosu tym, którzy zostały uciszeni w narracji oficjalnej historii. No i tak, bo tutaj też opowiem, ale tak bardzo krótko, że mamy takie prawo do pamięci, to zrobię w takie Teatr Dach w Kijowie, czy te były spektakle oparte na materiałach dotyczących represjonowanych działaczy ukraińskich. Było wykorzystano listy, protokoły przesłuchań, dane biograficzne. Zapomniane głosy to też zrobię w taki Charkowski Teatr Dramatu Dokumentalnego. Jeszcze pokażę następny. Też to było takie spowodzone archiwalnymi sprawami osób rozstrzelanych w latach 1937-1938. Akcja rozgrywa się w stylizowanym pokoju przesłuchań, gdzie widz staje się uczestnikiem procesu. Teatr dokumentalny jest formą taką publicznej historiografii, która pełni następujące funkcje. To też do tej interpretacji archiwów, emocjonalnej komunikacji, pamięci, etycznego zrozumienia przyszłości. No, projekty wystawowe, mobilne, uliczne. Zawsze walczyłam o to, żeby ta historia naprawdę stawała się popularna, bo często z tych materiałów archiwum, gdzie pracuję, to wykorzystują inne różne tam organizacje, ludzie, ale często to jest tak wspomniane, że to działa na ten archiwum i to się zaczęło dla mnie, taka popularyzacja jeszcze od 2023 roku, kiedy zaczęłam współpracować z Muzeum Wybitnych Działaczy Ukraińskich. I to było z takich sobie po prostu, bo mam tam dobre koleżanki, i tak się zaczęło z takich rozmów, że small talking, powiemy nawet tak, że może coś do takiego dojdzie, żeby stworzyć taką przestrzeń, gdzie zobaczymy, pokażemy, co się działo w tych czasach i jak to. Dobrze, że ona przystała te moje idee i my wytworzyły bardzo taką przepiękną wystawę, która właśnie się nazywa Niezniszczone, o represjach wobec ukraińskiej inteligencji. Dotychczas to się korzysta już 3. rok. To jest taka, wspiera się taką popularnością publiczną, że no tak, no trwa już, jak mówiłam, już przez 3 lata i tam już jest inne formy tej wystawy i robi się tam różne podcasty w tym kontekście, czyta się różne lekcje, robi się jeszcze mnóstwo takich rzeczy, które jest naprawdę popularyzowane tych dawnych tych archiwum, co się tam znajduje i tak dalej. To też możemy mówić o zapomnianych głosach, które też ja tu może już... Dobrze. Tak, no i takie wystawy, no to właśnie to jest takie tradycyjnie tam, co też było wykorzystane, multimedialne, bo tam można było posłuchać i wiecie, tam było takie, że pierwsze, kiedy zakładasz tam słuchawki, to najczęściej było mówiono, wy mówicie nieprawdę. To była taka rzecz, która przez całe przesłuchania, gdzie wreszcie człowiek musiał z siebie okłamać. Pod naciskiem tego śledczego, czy takie wystawy robiły się też mobilne, czy uliczne. No, w różny sposób to można było otworzyć i też widzimy też na tym zdjęciach, na tym slajdzie i też do wystaw dochodziło takich publicznych, wykorzystanych z archiwum Służby Bezpieczeństwa Ukrainy. Czy też wystawy te mogą mieć takie sytuacje jako naratywne, tam dokumentalne, interpretacyjne. Za to moja wielka wdzięczność właśnie Polsce i Uniwersytetu MK, bo też mogą sprezentować już naprawdę jak od swojego archiwum taką wystawę Polacy uchodźcy z Pomorza z czasów II wojny światowej i jako ofiary represji sowieckich, która była sprezentowana na UMK właśnie. Też była ona też prezentowana w Lublinie i też cieszyła się wielką popularnością. W ten sposób wystawy archiwalne nie tylko aktualizują pamięć historyczną, ale także demonstrują metodologiczne podejście do pracy ze źródłami, pozwalając połączyć krytyczną analizę z przystępną formą prezentacji. Jedynym z czołowych podmiotów, tutaj by można powiedzieć, tworzących archiwalno-edukacyjne projekty, które tam mamy tutaj w Ukrainie, wystawione w Ukrainie przez wyodrobniony Archiwum Państwowej Służby Bezpieczeństwa Ukrainy, to współpracy z muzeami, też historykami i partnerami międzynarodowymi. To też można by było nazwać takie projekty jak Uratować przed zapomnieniem, czy na przykład Dekomunizacja, rewolucja archiwalna. To jest bardzo takie multimedialne wystawy, które tam się nas prezentowało w Ukrainie. I najczęściej, że archiwum oczywiście że współpracuje z różnymi organizacjami, pokazuje, jak to można było organizować takie projekty. Niewolność to była taka wystawa uliczna w Kijowie i Lwowie, także Ludzie Wolności, to ja po prostu nie do wszystkiego znalazłam tam może takie ilustracji, czy projekt Ostatni adres, czy tam Powrócone imiona mamy, czy no różne wystawy, o których chodzi rzecz. No też można zobaczyć, jak to wykorzystujemy i w innych interpretacjach przez Muzeum Pamięci Narodowej Więzienia przy Łąckiego, czy na przykład ta wystawa Ludzie Wolności w Charkowie. No, jeszcze tutaj mamy i z Lwowskim też Muzeum Pamięci Reżimów Totalitarnych, Terytorium Terroru. No, mnóstwo innych takich wystaw, których się działa na podstawie tych dokumentów z Archiwum Służby Bezpieczeństwa Ukrainy. To nadaje pamięci wymiar właśnie tej przestrzeni, wchodzi ona w życie miasta i staje się częścią codziennego krajobrazu. Te praktyki wystawiennicze pokazują, że archiwa sowieckich służb specjalnych są nie tylko źródłem badań naukowych, no także podstawą potężnego języka wizualnego, które pozwala publicznie zrozumieć przeszłość poprzez losy konkretnych ludzi, historię regionalną i pamięć zbiorową. Tak. I to już tak na koniec opowiem, żeby też nie zatrzymywać Państwa, programy edukacyjne, kursy szkolne, materiały dydaktyczne i takim jednym z kluczowych wyzwań w dziedzinie historii publicznej jest zaangażowanie młodzieży w krytyczne rozumienie przyszłości, w szczególności jej trudnych i traumatycznych kart związanych z represjami, dyktaturami i łamaniem praw człowieka. I tutaj też w takich przykład tego, co mogłoby być wykorzystane, to interaktywne platformy internetowe, cyfryzacja zbiorów archiwalnych umożliwia stworzenie nowych narzędzi takich edukacyjnych i jednym z wiodących przykładów jest platforma edukacyjna Historia w archiwach, stworzona przez taki też, z kim Archiwum najbardziej tak współpracuje, to Centrum Badań Ruchu Wyzwoleńczego, no i właśnie też z Ukraińskim Instytutem Pamięci Narodowej. Ta platforma zawiera zadania do pracy z źródłami, w szczególności z aktami, no i tak, archiwalnymi represjonowanych, materiałami metodycznymi dla nauczycieli, tam czy mogą to być scenariusze lekcji, instrukcje wideo, ćwiczenia. I dzięki platformie uczniowie mogą samodzielnie opracowywać te dokumenty, czytać protokoły przesłuchań, listy z obozów, zaświadczenia NKWD. Pozwala to spojrzeć na historię od środka, oczami tych, którzy doświadczyły represji. Czy tak również możemy mówić i o grach edukacyjnych, format absolutnie interaktywny, czy rekonstrukcjach historycznych, czy na przykład tam konkursach, które też tam organizują się przez archiwum, czy jakieś takie wyzwania, jak na przykład napisać moją historię rodzinną, czy wprowadzenia specjalnych kursów szkolnych, zajęcia fakultatywne, materiały metodyczne i tak dalej. No oczywiście, że tu chodzi też również o napisanie podręczników. No i kultura świadectwa, no to oczywiście, że zbierania takich świadectw, też i włączenie ich do przestrzeni publicznej poprzez archiwa, audio, ekspozycje, no programy szkolne, no i takie projekty medialne. To też czytam na przykład jak projekt Głosy za grat, inicjatywa była też Lwowskiego Muzeum Terytorium Terroru, no czy inne, czy tam Dźwięki Pamięci, Archiwum na Głos, Platforma Edukacyjna i tak dalej. I już na sam koniec, żeby tak naprawdę nie zatrzymywać Państwa, to powiem, że naprawdę ta popularyzacja historii z tego, co mamy tam w archiwach i w ten różny sposób, które tutaj były przedstawione, to nie tylko też, że badamy archiwum, ale słuchamy żywej pamięci i archiwa tych służb sowieckich, o których tutaj słyszały, bo były tutaj, widzimy, w różnych państwach Europy, dotyczą więc nie tylko przyszłości, dotyczą one naszej teraźniejszości i przyszłości, tego jak pamiętamy, jak uczymy, jak budujemy społeczeństwo, które nie będzie tolerować nowych form przemocy i kłamstwa. W tym procesie archiwum nie jest martwą skrzynią dokumentów, ale przestrzenią dialogu i refleksji i dlatego też mówię z tego państwa, w którego teraz się działa wojna, bo ona też jest jakby świadczeniem tego, że może nie do końca te lekcje historii były wyuczone, żeby tak mówić. No i dziękuję Państwu.
Thank you, Ms. Marceniuk. And now there is a time for our guest from Albania, PhD Albert Nicola, who is a member of the board of the Authority for the Information on the Documents of the Former State Security.
Which one is yours?
Yes. Yes, this one. Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation from the Institute of Remembrance in Poland. And yes, I have to face the risk because I'm the last speaker, so I would like not to annoy anybody here because so I would like to proceed, but to be just short and to emphasize some particular features that are particularly culturally in Albanian context, and to share with you the fact that we founded this institution of authority in Sigurimi files. Sigurimi is the word that from now on I will use Sigurimi, which is equivalent to the Stasi in Germany or Securitate in Romania, because we founded it in only 27 years after the collapse of communism in 2017. And there are many reasons, I think, that why the things happen late in our country. And I think that there are many reasons, but basically it's the heritage that we have from the communist regime, and this mentality unfortunately still persists. People, especially people who are in power, do not like to face the truth openly. And so the files, I think, has been, it was a hidden will to misuse these files to get rid of the political adversaries. And in many cases, for example, in the early 90s, some politicians used to publish different nicknames, fake news on political adversaries, and to publish it in the media and to say, yes, these are the people that are without dignity and they do not have the right to run the country. So all in all, I think that the problem of files of the communist regime has been dramatic, especially in the 90s. And that's why I think our institution has now really a great reputation in the country, and this reputation has been continuously growing up since its foundation in 2017. Because just to mention a fact that was mentioned from the representative from Germany, that in the pillar of education, many of the persons now clearly know, the Albanian society clearly knows that not all the persons that have been collaborators or found themselves in the files are persons without dignity. Because this was the mentality, this was the culture in the 90s, to say that people that are inside these files are persons without dignity. So we arrived at this point very late, but it's better than never. The problem that we faced initially was connected with the fact that many of these files were deposited in different institutions all around the country, especially in the Ministry of Interior, but not only in the headquarters of this ministry, but widespread in the country. And part of these files were in the National Directory of the Archives, and the others in the security services of the country right now. So when the law was promulgated from the Albanian parliament, we had to deal with this difficulty, because still in some institutions there are persons that have the mentality of appropriation of the files, to say that these files, because the files many times in the mentality they are connected with the power. Who possess the files has the power. So less by less, and with I think with a very professional duty, very professional doing of the archives here. I have my friends here, Anton Dukazini, who is the director of the archive. Really, we did a great job with the support. I would like to thank the representative from Germany, because we adopted the law of Germany, and many of our employees have been trained in years from the representatives from the Germany. So the classification, the registration, the archival and processing is based in these steps, identifying the content in the files. Many times we have to face and to cope with a lot of problems, because a lot of files are handwritten. And we faced a very professional approach from our employees, because many times we have been just in the front of many people who were ready, prompt to critique us about the content of these files. And in the process of digitation, the handwritten are really difficult, and so we are facing this process very carefully and very professionally. Another job that has been done is ensuring the integrity and authenticity of the documents, because in societies such as the Albanian one, where people that have inherited the culture of manipulation from the communist regime still have the doubts that you are going to manipulate, and these manipulations took part before the collapse of communism or after, or given that many of the documents has been eliminated after the communism. So which are the right one, which are not the right one? And doing this job professionally is really difficult, but it's really an honor for us to face this, to cope with, but at the same time to talk to entire Albanian society, not only to the politicians, not only to the media, who many times have this desire to manipulate the information. How the archive directory is organized, you have it here in this slide, but as I told initially, I would like to emphasize the fact that anything has been built up very professionally, running the model of Germany, and to avoid at any cost the risk of manipulation of the files. So the files are in that situation, and in that situation must be absolutely controlled, must be absolutely digitized, and must assure access to the people who want to have information in the files according to Albanian law. And an enormous job has been done as far as it concerns with education. And now still we are in a process which has a kind of political approach, because we have to deal with the Albanian parliament to promulgate the laws that would permit us to integrate some of the stories of the research outcomes in the program, especially for the high school, to know exactly what during the communist regimes happened. And we have organized many activities, but I would like to emphasize especially the book club, which is organized all around the country, from north to south. And in this perspective, I think that things are moving in a good direction, because people now not only are more sensitive, but really try to understand better the tragedy of communist regime in the country. Given that I'm a member of the board of the authority, but at the same time I have under my supervision the research and education sector. Many times that I went to the Talk TV or when I published some articles, I wanted to put attention to the question of a kind of post-communist totalitarianism. Totalitarianism is a word that has been used for the first time in 1938 in the context of Italian fascism, but many times after the when communism collapsed, people has this kind of totalitarianism saying that, yes, who has been in the files, who has been a collaborator is an enemy, is a person without dignity. And this is the risk that we have to face, especially from the educational standpoint. And I think this has been a real cornerstone of our job, especially in the perspective of the education. Challenges and difficulties firstly affected the delays in the research processes, as it was working in parallel with 4 different buildings. Now things happen. Now we have a general headquarters. We are gathering all the documents, and these documents must be totally under our supervision, because, as I told you, technically and people that have been trained are absolutely capable for the integrity of these files, but we are not totally sure about the files that are not under our supervision. And so this process is perfectly going on, and hopefully will end by the end of the year. It's interesting. Some time when the law was promulgated and some amendments were joined in 2022, people are still, there's a kind of resilience from the institutions that still possess these documents, yes, to say to us, yes, be careful. Yes, we know that we have to be careful, but the law gives us this duty, this opportunity to take these documents. And still, it's a kind of hidden resilience to maintain still these documents, because they connect it with power. And to proceed, just to give you, just imagine for a moment that Albania in 1991, when communism collapsed in the country, had a population of 3 million inhabitants, and the total number of the files is immensely huge, about 500,000 files. There were in the country 500,000 files. So just imagine that only files were 500,000, and imagine that one file, for example, could affect other people as well. So it's our nation is a country that have to face the heritage of the communism still with a sense of honesty and dignity, and without prejudgments, because most of the people that lived in that period somehow has been affected with persons from the proper family or relatives or neighbors. So in this perspective, still the country has this kind of shape on its conscience. The number of the peasants who have access to the files and are still going to our files for research or for personal purposes now are facing really a process of total declassification of the documents, but only a few documents that are protected from two elements. The only files that could damage the security of the country, and only files that could compromise the relationship between Albania and other countries has to be still classified. So, and the process of the declassification, Mr. Anton is much more informed than I am, is proceeding very well, really, and I hope that from now, in a time of 10 months up to 1 year, it will be really finished, and I'm really happy to mention it. So, all in all, I hope that I didn't annoy you, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So I would like to thank all the participants of this panel discussion for the speeches and for the interesting presentation. And I think that we may go for a lunch break, and we will meet again at 3:15 for the next discussion panel. Thank you.